I chose to do my final project on the extraordinary female artist Dimitra Milan. I was drawn to Dimitra both because she is close to my age at 18 and because I was really attracted to the relationship between nature and femininity that she highlights in her art. So, a little bit of history about Dimitra Milan. Dimitra's celebration as an artist began at the age of 15, although her talent did reveal itself at a much younger age. Her parents, Ellie and John Milan, both own and founded the Milan Art Institute in Arizona, where Dimitra began training at an extremely young age. So because of her accessibility to the institute, Dimitra chose to follow a rigorous homeschooling plan going into high school and was able to graduate 2 years early. This left her open to spend her more recent years practicing her art and traveling the world in search of more knowledge and understanding of the environment around her. Dimitra regularly donates her work to several different charitable organizations. Her donations most often go to organizations that advocate against human trafficking and one organization called Comfy Cozies for Chemo, which provide resources to families that are battling with cancer. Currently, Dimitra Milan's paintings can be found in private collections all around the US and Europe. I would describe Dimitra's paintings as abstract realism with romantic elements that portray a dreamy and floral atmosphere. Her work is rich in symbolism and it often provokes profound emotions and thoughts. In my opinion, Dimitra's art expresses hope, empathy, tenderness, and power in her images. Dimitra says that she gets much of her inspiration from her dreams, where she sees the images that she wants to create and then recreates them through her oil paints on canvas. I really connected with this aspect of her inspiration because I dream extremely vividly as well, and I tend to remember them to the point where I can't get them out of my head unless I express them in some way. Milan's media mainly consists of mixed media oil on textured canvas. So according to blacksandpublishing.com's webpage on Dimitra Milan program overview, Dimitra's artistic process usually begins by sketching a loose outline of her image onto the textured canvas and then layering different types of paper onto the canvas to follow a style similar to a collage. From there, Milan will usually move towards spray paint or acrylic paints for her next layer, and then will likely wait for the piece to dry before adding final layers of transparent oil colors to stain the piece. Dimitra then uses subtractive tools to bring out the highlights and add depth and personality to her piece. Milan's palette usually consists of rich and floral colors that I feel are reminiscent of a botanical garden in winter. She utilizes a lot of stark whites and blush pinks and soft blues into the style of her art. And then lastly, Milan will usually add touches of more layers of paint once her piece is dry to give texture and life to her already vibrant creations. And this often leaves some aspects of her pieces seeming more abstract, while others will remain more realistic. Overall, this leaves the viewer with a sense of wonder from these powerful and utterly original masterpieces. So the pieces that I chose to utilize as examples of Milan's style are from her originals collection. The first one, entitled Protégé, shows a young woman with brown hair and light eyes making piercing eye contact with the viewer. She is accompanied by a red fox on her left shoulder who seems to be distracted by something else and not making eye contact with the viewer. They both seem to be extremely at ease in each other's presence, and if anything, they seem like they'd rather just be left alone with each other. They are surrounded by a haze of dusty pink and white in the air, along with several fragile pink roses in the back and foreground. The veil that lies over the whole image ties it together into a dreamlike state of security and harmony. Next, I want to take a look at my potentially favorite piece of all time by Dimitra Milan, entitled Celestial Transit. This piece seems much moodier and emotional to me. The subject of the painting is the woman featured in the middle. She seems to be pondering something to a point of existentialism where she is unaware of her surroundings. Perhaps the humpback whales swimming around her are a figment of her own mind, or maybe she's simply at peace with their presence and they have chosen to coexist. Either way, this piece holds a lot of depth and perhaps a little bit of melancholy in it. Her body language seems reserved and slightly insecure, and in relation to the mysteriously dark color palette that Milan utilized in this piece, perhaps the subject is trying to deal with something that she does not understand. And lastly, I'd like to take a look at one of Milan's pieces that I feel to be very powerful and intense. This piece is called Drawn Out and Ready, and it features a young woman in a state of ease with her head thrown back and her eyes closed. Sitting with her are two wolves, one a cub and one fully grown. The only one making eye contact with the viewer is the fully grown wolf, which I think makes a statement about power because both the woman and the cub have their heads thrown back to the sky. Maybe the cub is representative of what will become the fully grown wolf, and in this way it symbolizes that both the cub and the woman have a lot of growing to do and power to discover. These three images specifically made me think of two of my favorite art books. The first one is entitled Drawing in Charcoal with Charles LaSalle, and it's published by Walter T. Foster. It's obviously a classic art instruction book from somewhere in the 1970s, but I found a connection between Dimitra Milan's style in her female subjects and the dramatic and dreamy style that many of the nude female subjects in the later pages of this book feature as well. Starting on page 18 and continuing to page 33, we see the same dreamy expressions and dramatic posture that is quite often the persona of women that are featured in art today. Secondly, I saw a similar relationship in another art book. This one is entirely in French, and it's entitled Déclic Photographs and Models. This book features all different types of photography styles portraying the female body and the culture surrounding the implications that each style holds. So the image that caught my attention in particular was on page 47, and it was an image taken by a photographer named Patrick Hassanet. That you can see here features a woman looking into the light with the same hopeful and dreamy expression that Milan highlights in a majority of her work. The caption beneath the photo is a quote from Patrick Hassanet in French, and it roughly translates to, "I like the obscure light. For this picture, I used only one light source because there is only one sun. An assistant with a reflector catches up and follows the shadows." So considering that Milan's motif of drama and dreamy energy is present in nearly all of her work, I think that these two artists could be kindred spirits. Needless to say, Dimitra Milan is on the rise to becoming an extremely impactful artist of the 21st century. Her art embodies grace, power, femininity, and spirituality. She made a statement in her biography posted on her website saying, "I want my artwork to inspire people, to make them feel anything is possible. I want people to understand their true identity and to believe in their destiny." And I think that's exactly what her art has accomplished.
Mi amor no tiene esperanza, aunque te esperará. Mi corazón se avanza, un fantasma corporeal. Mi amor no tiene venganza, aunque te matará. Este viejo no se cansa, siempre te persigue.